What's up, guys? Welcome to my home. I'm gonna make a video today that I've wanted to make for a very long time. And it's not just for you guys, it's actually a video that I wish that I would have saw when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old. And what I wanna go over is all the different routes that you guys have available to you right now that you can go into in the fitness industry. Because when I was in college, all the routes that we have right now were not necessarily available. And all the routes that are available, you know, at the time, I would go on Google and be like, what's the average salary of this, you know, like a personal trainer, of a gym owner, of this, of that. And a lot of times it would let me down. And a lot of times my professors, you know, people I looked up to, they'd be like, hey, you gotta really love this space because you're not gonna make a lot of money doing it. And while they were probably right at the time for some of the specific parameters that we were all locked into, nowadays, you can make as much money as you want. You can have as much flexibility in this career as you want. You can work super hard. You can delegate a lot of tasks. And you can really open up into more than just one particular space. I know for me, I always wanted to be like a strength conditioning coach, or I wanted to be a gym owner. And now, because of social media and because of the different outlets that we have available to us, you can do so many different things. So what I'd like to do is go over all the things that I'm doing currently, all the things that you could be doing, and how to really get started, because that's the hardest part. A lot of us are like, man, I want to do it, but I don't know where to start. So this video is going to be great for telling you where to start and why, and then what the advantages are to starting in one particular place versus a different place. So let's get into it. We're going to go inside and I'm going to go over everything you're going to want to know about being a fitness entrepreneur. All right, guys, now we're inside my house, and what I really wanted to do was kind of get into how I got started with everything and then all of the different avenues and kind of just break down each one. So first and foremost, for those of you who know me, the first thing that I did was I opened a gym. And it definitely helped that I was a famous athlete at the time. So when I opened my gym, I had a good following of people to come. But for those of you out there who want to get into the fitness industry and your goal is to make a considerable amount of money, let's say like for me, to live in Newport Beach, you know, the cheapest house where I live is like $2 million. So you definitely have to make a lot of money to live here in California. And that was something that really worried me when I first opened my gym, because, you know, I started to realize how much money I was going to make, and it was a little nerve-wracking. I was like, oh my God, how am I ever going to make enough money to live here? At the time I was renting and it really didn't bother me too much. But as the years went on and I was working more and more, it was definitely something that I was definitely worried about and thinking about like a lot more than I used to when I first started. So that's your first step. You do have to figure out whether you want to do something online or you want to open an actual brick and mortar. So earlier in the film, when we first started, I talked about fulfillment in each division, right? So although the gym doesn't really make me that much money, it definitely makes me the happiest, because I walk in the gym, there's a lot of great energy. There's a lot of people that look forward to seeing me every day. And to me, I spend so much time inside my house writing programs and different things I'm going to talk about here in a minute, that when I go there, it's such an escape for me. It's such a great place for me. And it's something I genuinely look forward to each and every day. It is my life. So I do love having the gym. Now, the other route that I would talk about, and I would say is the fastest way to actually make money, would be to start an online business. Now, even if you're not a famous athlete, you can still provide a lot of value through social media streams just by looking at your top 100. Your top 100 are the people that you look up to the most, and if you can emulate kind of what they're doing, you know, it's going to be a really good foot in the door for you. I have a bunch of trainers at my gym currently right now, and other trainers I've had in the past, and one of the biggest struggles I have with them is making content. I tell them all the time, like, hey, make a couple posts this week, let me see it, or before you make a post, send it to me and let me know what it looks like. Let me see what you have in the caption, and let me see what kind of value you're providing to your people that don't follow you yet. So every single time they would make a post, it was kind of just like, yo, here I am in the gym, hope you guys have a great day, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But what really separates them from somebody else? You know, what are you adding that they haven't seen before? You know, what kind of message are you giving out that they haven't read before? These are things that are very, very important. And when someone sees a particular photo that has a particular caption, that's when the like button happens. Also, if they see one particular thing that makes them go to your profile and they see that there's a bunch of other stuff on there that coincides with the goals that they have or the way that they like to live, that's when they click the follow button. That's really how you get the following. A lot of people, you know, they don't want to spend the time. I can't tell you how many people, you know, they're making a video. I have people who work for me right now in my gym. They start making a video and they're like, oh, like I don't know the thumbnail. I don't know the first sentence. And then they just post it. And then I have to yell at them because I'm like, yo, why did you post that? I had someone this week literally post 2 amazing videos that I spent a lot of time on. And they didn't even put a caption at all. They didn't put a caption at all. Unless you listen to the video, there's like going to be no engagement on it. And I was really excited about those videos and it really bummed me out. So when you start making your own brand, I actually have my phone right here. I have my Instagram up to remind me of a few things that I do that I want to talk to you guys about. But you know, when I have my page and I actually look at like my first 12 posts, my first 15 posts, it's exactly what I want it to be. It's about nutrition. It's about studies that I geek out on. It's about, you know, ab tips, shopping in the grocery store. It's about, you know, things that I like to do when I'm traveling, meals that I like to make at home. I mean, it's literally exactly what I want it to be. So as much as you might want to post that really funny thing that happened with your friend, you know, there's all these little things that we really want to post, but that's really for your story. I think that's when you get that one-on-one connection with your people. But creating the actual brand has to be very, very, what do I want to say? Like it has to have a flow. It has to have a very even, cohesive flow. That's the word I'm looking for. A very cohesive flow that people look forward to, a very consistent piece of content every single time they want to find you. So once you figure that out, you figure out what your niche is. And if you can't figure it out, just post a whole bunch of stuff and kind of see which one takes off. And I think an easy way to do that right now, if you're watching this video right now, it's January 2020. TikTok is really hot right now, and TikTok will let you know very quickly what your niche is, what you're good at talking about, what you feel most comfortable in, and then you can take off on that route. Because maybe you like health and fitness, or I should say nutrition and fitness. You like talking about workouts, you like talking about nutrition, but there's a certain way you look, and people just kind of gravitate towards one. So I love talking about nutrition. It's one of the biggest things that I do. But when I talk about workouts on my TikTok, they do way, way better than my nutrition. And interestingly enough, on my Instagram, my nutrition stuff does better than my workout stuff. So, you know, every different social media platform has that little nuance to each one. So as you're making your social media profile, you definitely want to figure out what your audience is and hammer it. So then once you do get your audience, you do start to build a little bit of a following, definitely give stuff away for free for a while. I know it's hard to do. I know you don't want to do it, but you know, no one's really going to understand. Once people get a good taste of it, it is something that they start to realize like this is what you're really good at. There is something different about what you do that other people don't do. Plus, when you give people a little bit of a taste and they get used to it, they just want to stay on it. So one of the best things I've ever done in terms of my online fitness business is give people free months, free weeks to try things out, and they really find out that it is something new, it's something different, and they really like it a lot. Because the last time that I've actually competed as a professional athlete was about 3 years ago now. So everybody that I'm finding now, that people that are finding me, I should say, a lot of them don't really know about my past. You know, they just think that I'm some fitness guy on there. So it's definitely doable. I just started TikTok. Again, I want to talk about TikTok. I just started that literally 2 weeks ago, and I already have 20,000 followers. So if I didn't know what I was talking about in terms of social media and how to find your niche and what to post about, then I wouldn't have 20,000 followers in like a week and a half. So, and those people on TikTok have absolutely no idea who I am. So this is one thing that I know is to be proven and true. So, all right, now we have the actual gym itself. We have an online business. And then the online business is going to be through social media. And then the other one would be a little bit of both, but also, I'm just going to call it a little bit of both. So what I like to call this one is the studio. So you would have, let's just say my living room right now that we're in is a floor in my house, which it is. But let's just say I decided to turn this entire floor into a gym. And I am the only person that comes in here and films. Or I happen to do personal training in here and the majority of the day is also filming. Let's say it's 50-50. if you have a personal training studio, you could have people in there training. You can kind of get the vibe of having a gym. You can get your bills paid for through other trainers training in there. And then the rest of the time, you can be doing videos like this. You could be doing videos for your social media. You could be doing instructional videos for YouTube in general. Any sort of instructional video, nutrition stuff, whatever you want it to be. But by doing that, you kind of get your own gym, because I feel like most people in the fitness industry, they want their own gym so bad, but they don't realize that having your own gym comes with a plethora of issues and, so much, especially right now in the year of COVID. I've gone through so many insane things, like having to let coaches go, having to pay coaches when we weren't even open, having to pay rent when we were closed for months on end, hoping that people would pay us while we were closed. You always have to, you have to fire a trainer that you love more than anything every single year. There's a ton of things that happen. Drama, people sleep with other people in the gym. All of a sudden someone's divorced. All of a sudden this happens, that happens. You hear that people hate you. You hear, that so-and-so stole something. I mean, it's crazy. Like, there's so much that happens in the gym. I can, without a doubt, tell you that the most stress I've ever had in my entire life has been owning that gym, 100%. But it's also some of the most happiness I've ever had in my life as well. And I could definitely, without a doubt, say that I would be more successful right now if I didn't have the gym, because I'd have a lot more time to spend on the online stuff. So that's something for you guys to think about for sure. So if I could start over again, that's probably what you guys are thinking. Well, what would you do if you could start again? I would probably do the studio route. I would probably do that little half and half, because I do like having my own place to go to, and I don't really like having other people kind of be in the way. Even my own gym right now, a lot of times I can't film what I want because there's a lot of people in there making a lot of noise, or I'm in the way of other things. So I would go the studio route. I think that I would have a really nice studio. I would have just a few trainers in there, and they could coach at certain times throughout the day. And then certain times throughout the day, I would have it mandatory that no one's allowed in there, and I could do film. And then by doing that and creating a really good energy inside that place, I would start to build a brand behind the type of training that we were doing inside the gym and make it feel very, very unique to people who potentially are following us and potentially would want to buy our programs. Now, once you start to create different types of programs, it is important to really separate yourself from the rest of the crowd. We all know about Olympic lifting. We all know about general bodybuilding. We all know about bodyweight workouts. We all know about all these things. What can you add to the space that no one's really done before? One of the first things that put me on the map was something called high intensity interval bodybuilding. And the only reason I really stumbled upon this was because I loved bodybuilding and I loved the sport of CrossFit that I competed in. So I really just took the two worlds and kind of mixed them together. But it wasn't by anything random. I looked up a whole bunch of studies from the 1960s all the way to the 2000s, and I mixed together a whole bunch of different things called interval weight training, traditional bodybuilding, and then traditional HIIT training and CrossFit methodologies all mixed together, and that's kind of what created it. Now, to this day, I'm still the only person that makes it, so if you want to do anything like that, I'm the first person you find. And when COVID hit, and a lot of people had to work out at home, a lot of people didn't have any equipment, I looked all over the internet and looked for different types of bodyweight workouts that I could post on my fitness app to give to people an extra program. And what I saw was all the bodyweight workouts were really, really bad. It's always like some 100-pound girl and she does like 10 air squats and 3 sit-ups and a burpee. And it's like a 60-minute rest and 3 rounds. And before you know it, you've burned 7 calories and you could eat like 1 extra almond for the day. So for me, I was trying to be funny there, but at the same time, it's like, who wants to really do that, And you could say that you did it and feel like you did something because so-and-so told you to do it, but there's a lot of us out there who like to work out really hard, and like, what does that type of bodyweight workout look like? So I had to literally deconstruct and reconstruct an entire new bodyweight program that no one's ever seen before, and I put a lot of time into that. So, figuring out the program that you want to put out there, you really need to make it feel like an interview for the best job you've ever had. You really need to put the best version of yourself out there, make the best first impression ever, and be a very, very unique person. Be someone that somebody remembers every single time. My entire life has always been like that. I've never wanted to meet someone and they didn't remember me. Like, that's the most important thing I can tell you, is just to be super, super memorable on some level. All right, now, once you have that locked down. You either want to be a gym owner, you want to go the studio route, or you just want to go the online route. There is going to come a time where you're starting to get some traction. And once you get the traction, that's when you really want to start doing the marketing. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can reach out to friends and ask them to share. That's free. You can reach out to bigger influencers and pay them, and that costs something. I don't know what it is. It just depends on who it is and how much followers they have, how close you are to them. Maybe someone's really big and they'll just do it for free, or maybe you have to pay a couple $1,000s or something like that. And the next one would be actual paid advertising. So a lot of people get really excited about paid ads, but if their product is not great and it's not making organic sales, I do not recommend starting paid advertising, because it's not going to mean the difference between, going from 0 to 100, But if you do have a great product, you're making great organic sales, then absolutely 100% having paid advertising is going to be huge. I'll give you a story right now. I don't think I've ever talked about numbers on any sort of video ever. So this is slightly uncomfortable for me, but at the time I was selling my high intensity interval bodybuilding books. I was selling a nutrition guide. I was selling a bunch of different things on my website, and I was making about $3,000 to $4,000 per month selling these programs, right? Just on my own. Swipe ups in my story. Actually, you know what? Swipe ups didn't even exist yet. I was just kind of making posts about it. And then in my story, I would say that I had this program, but there was no swipe ups yet. And once I decided to actually do paid advertising, and I didn't even know that was a thing until I had someone on my podcast who was talking about paid advertising and what she was doing with her programs. And I started doing paid advertising. Literally within the first month, I had made $30,000. So I went from literally $3,000 to $4,000 to $30,000 in my first month, which was insane, because that was like more money than I would make in a really long time. Like my gym was only paying me $4,000 a month. So to make $30,000 to me, like I completely freaked out. And the girl who was running my advertising charged me $3,000 for the work. And I gave her $6,000 because I was so excited. So that was like a really big time in my life where I was like, oh my God, this is a crazy thing. And then I realized through that, you start to get analytics. So analytics is huge. So whether you're making your own personal brand, you have your gym, you have your studio, whatever you have, you need to look into every single avenue, look at the Instagram accounts, look at the sales that are coming through on your pages, and start to figure out how old they are, where do they live, what's the most common program that they're buying. I don't recommend starting online sales or anything like that if you only have one product, 2 products. I definitely recommend having like at least 5 different things. Make them a little bit different. I have a dumbbell only program. I have kettlebell only program, which you don't see me do all the time, but it is something that I do when I travel. It is something that I do when I'm at home and I have a little extra time, mess around with the kettlebell or something like that. So people see me do it, but it's not that it's completely out of my realm, but it is a program that someone who follows you might have minimal equipment and they live in like, God knows where, and they have, interest in just a kettlebell program and they like you and they want to buy that program, even though the program that you do every day happens to be a functional fitness program. So, I started off, I had a dumbbell program, kettlebell program, I had a nutrition program, I had the functional fitness program, which is like the CrossFit type of program, the high intensity interval body. Did I say that? So I want to say I had 5 or 6 programs when I first started. And then I was absolutely blown away by what did well and what didn't do as well. So I was absolutely blown away by a very minimal equipment dumbbell program. 30 Days of Dumbbells was one of my first books I ever made. And it had made such an astronomical amount of money to me that I just could not get over it. And then I started to realize, man, a lot of people follow me just for workouts in general. They don't necessarily follow me to be big or super lean or, because my professional fitness career was in CrossFit. They just want to do some really cool shit. So once I figured that out, it really made programming for me, the true art of what I do now. So for me, my biggest thing is absolutely my unique programs, the way that I make the workouts and putting them into different subgroups and selling them the way that they are. Like the 30 Days of Dumbbell program. The way that I created that program was way different than what anybody else was doing at the time. And I still think it is, to be honest. So there you go. Now we're going somewhere, right? We have that studio route. We have the online fitness route, the online personal brand route. We have the actual gym route. And then there is potentially a route where you have your gym, you have your online brand, and maybe you have a studio, right? But I do think that it's important in the beginning to pick one and kind of run in that direction. And then after about a year or two, you can start to add different pieces to that puzzle. Now, the next thing that you really want to start to figure out is, do you want to go to school? Do you not want to go to school? What do you think about going to school? I really think that my college degree made a huge difference for me because it forced me to learn things that I probably wouldn't want to read about now. I like to brush up on it now, but it's because I'm already pretty nerdy about it from in the past. So this is tough. I don't want to throw anybody in the wrong direction, but honestly, if you're going to open a gym, you're going to start your own personal brand, I don't think that you need to have a college degree, but I do think that you should be getting some certifications. Actually, I know that you should. You should be consistently learning something at least once a month, finishing a course, listening to a podcast very, very consistently, getting some really good, solid research that's not opinions. Not going on Instagram and reading people's posts and stuff like that. That's not real hard evidence. There's a website called PubMed, PubMed, and those are all peer-reviewed journals from people getting their doctorates, and these are real studies that you guys can look up, the effects of caffeine, the effects of creatine, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Getting really hard evidence. You can geek out on that stuff for hours and learn a ton. But you also need to know as much as humanly possible about nutrition and about training and about how to connect with your people. So there's a huge difference between just making workouts and connecting with your people. Because right now, for instance, where we are right now, January 2020, there is a huge shift right now towards functional fitness and bodybuilding combined. That's a huge thing right now. If you don't see this right now, it's crazy to me. But every 5 to 7 years, you guys are going to see a shift in fitness. It's always going to happen. When I first got out of college, Zumba was massive. A freaking dance thing, right? It was a huge thing. People were really, really into it. It died out. Functional fitness got really, really big. CrossFit, right? It got enormous. And then after that, it's been kind of on the decline right now. There's a whole bunch of things going on that made that happen. But, a whole bunch of things happen to the world all the time. So because of that, now we have this new thing called High Rocks. We have, that's getting a really big online presence, kind of like how CrossFit started. They started with an online workout where people could qualify, and now High Rocks has this thing. I'm not saying that that's the direction of where everything's going, but it did get more traction than I would ever imagine. So things do change, and there's a lot of people who started the CrossFit craze, and they kind of want to slow down a little bit. They still like all of the elements from that, but they do like the aesthetic factor of bodybuilding as well. And there's been multiple different times throughout history where it was really cool to be enormous, and then it was really cool to be super shredded, and then all of a sudden it was really cool to be enormous again, and then all of a sudden it was cool to be athletic. So people are looking for different bodies at different times. People are looking for different training programs at different times. And once you figure out what everybody wants at that time, that's your target audience. And nutrition's the same. There was a time where keto was so crazy big that you just said the word and everybody wanted to do it. And now it's 50-50, right? There was a time when paleo was so big that every single person in the world knew what it was. And now it's 50-50, right? Everyone's well, man, I really want to have bread now. I really want to have this. I'm not going to give that up and blah, 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 blah. But in the beginning, everybody who looked good was doing paleo and everybody wanted to do it. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So I think we all know, we all have seen these things happen. So if you are not being very conscious of what's going on around you, it's very, very hard to become successful and then stay successful. Staying successful is a whole nother video, but it essentially revolves around what we just talked about. And that's the one benefit that I think of having a gym. When you have the gym, you actually understand what is happening. What do people complain about, right? There's a lot of things in my gym I don't really do like most CrossFit gyms. We don't do a ton of handstand push-ups. I don't do a ton of overhead squats. I don't do a ton of really high-skilled movements because my average demographic in my gym is 35 years old. Most likely, they do not want to go to the CrossFit Games, and their biggest thing that they want to get out of the gym is just looking better. So why would I make that person do a movement that they don't really want to do and is not really going to get them any closer to their goals, right? So if 99% of my gym just wants to look better, I'm going to program for 99% of my gym, right? I'm not going to program for the 3% that want to go to the CrossFit Games. It's not in my best interest. So that is one way that you become either really successful or really unsuccessful really quickly, because you give people what you want, but you're not giving them what they want. That's a huge, huge, huge thing. So at this point, you know, you're on your route, you're figuring out where you want to go. And then the amount of money that you make really just happens to come down to the amount of work that you put into it. I definitely have days where I want to cry. I have so much work to do that, like, it's absolutely insane. I have days where I don't leave my house for like a week. Like, I'll literally just go to the gym and I'll train and I'll come straight back and I get all my stuff done. You'll start to learn that at some point, the more things you have going on, you have to delegate things to certain people, and delegating things doesn't really work out as good as you think it is. It winds up you basically nonstop training someone, and very rarely do you get someone who takes it and takes off and you're like, holy shit, this is the greatest person ever. So you have that. You wind up managing a lot of stuff. If I had the absolute dream job, I mean, I do have my dream job, but if I could streamline it and make it very, very easy, very, very simple for me, and kind of just make it the least amount of work, I do have my Chalk Performance training app, and I have thousands of members on there. It's a 7-figure a year business for me. That particular app, I would probably just have that. It would be a custom app instead of me using someone else's app, which I'm making at the time, at this current moment. Maybe it'll be out by the time you guys see this video. If I could streamline that and make it exactly what I want it to be, I would have started that in the beginning. I would have put all my effort just into that, and then I would have started all of my nutrition programs and all my different things and just put everything into one place. That would make my life a lot easier. But instead, I do have a bunch of different things, which is why I want you guys to figure out which route you want to go into. Because I started with the one that was probably the hardest, owning the gym, and then I started adding all these little pieces in along the way. But I still have remnants of each one, so it's really, really hard to balance all of them. Now, I've been running the gym for 6 years now, and this is the first year I'm going to have like a true manager of the gym. So that is something that will help me a lot, and then I can kind of just break off into these other avenues. But, you know, these are things that happen over time. Now, last piece. I know I've been talking for a really long time, but this is really good information for you guys. The very, very last piece is going to be, you know, maybe just social media isn't enough for you to find your niche. Maybe you're not really sure where you want to start your company. You're not really sure what it looks like, how to do it. Maybe you need a little bit more information. I'd love to put that out here for you guys, but the number one thing that helped me more than anything at all was, one, getting a business partner in my gym. I don't have a business partner in anything else, but I do in my gym. And it's a very, very successful person who's way more successful than I am. And they know a lot about business and a lot about ups and downs. And they've been out there for a really long time. Having that backing is amazing, because you know that if anything does go wrong, they're going to help you. They have a lot of good information to share with you. And then you have someone to lean on when things get really bad, versus everything being financially your responsibility and also all of the problems just crashing down on you. And then number two would be when I started my podcast. When I started my podcast, it gave me the opportunity to talk to other people who were more successful than me, were in different niches than me. They had been doing it longer than me. And they had a ton of tips that helped me an absolute enormous amount along the way. I would say, without a doubt, the best two things for you guys to do right now is find your path, start some sort of social communication that you can start with people, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube video, or meeting people that are in your area who also have large Instagrams and they're in your top 100, right? The top 100 is a huge thing. Figuring out who you want to be like, not like literally be like, but you know, you like what they do. Like if you like what I do, you don't necessarily want to be me exactly, but you want to be really close to what I'm doing. Then listening to this video, watching my content is something that's going to be really, really important to you. And then if you got to actually talk to me in person, would be another huge step for you. Now imagine that times 100 of your top people. That's what you really want to start doing. So I hope this video helps you guys. This is, I really just started talking, and I really feel like, you know, it came out really well. There's a lot of good pieces in there for you guys. And if you guys have any questions about anything at all, just put them in the comments below. Send me a message on my Instagram, Ryan Fish, RyanFisch. Yeah, I'm happy to help you guys out. It's something I've been doing for a really long time, and I'll probably continue to do it for a really long time. And I really wanted to talk about, what it's like to own the gym and what it's like to own, an online brand. And I want to get into a lot more of this stuff, but I need you guys to help me out and tell me what you guys want to hear. So until next time, thank you guys for hanging out. If you listened to this whole video, I hope it helps a ton. And again, if you ever have any questions, let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos, a lot more consistently. Love you guys. See you soon.